Hello, and welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thank you very much for tuning in and joining me in my exploration of the amazing, incredible, beautiful, wide world of pens. And you see an example of that in front of you, an Asvine P20 in a new color. There are a couple new colors. Here they are. Britain offered to send me one, so I obviously picked the Hawaii color because I like Hawaii. And I've had it in Pen BBS pens, but this is my first one in another pen maker. My pen friends also enjoy looking at it, and the crab enjoys holding it up. Nice ink window. Cap comes off in a little over 2 turns, and you'll see a nice fine nib. Good size section. And I like the way that ink window works. And the piston moves up and down freely and nicely. So one of the things I like about the P20 design is it's just classic simplicity. A very functional roller clip, very springy. And I like the way the cap band transitions down. You don't feel any edge there. Just very well done. And I like the fact that the ink window is visible when the pen is capped, so you can see the ink level before you try to start writing with it. And the blind cap, as you turn it counterclockwise, you'll see it only comes down to just above the ink window, which is a challenge because you need to use multiple fills to get rid of that, because your first pull up is going to be a lot of air. And you can see there's that flat spot there. If you want to remove the piston, and only remove it if you absolutely have to remove it. So to me, if I was going to change inks and clean it out well, I would just unscrew the nib assembly and use a flushing syringe to clean all that out and save wear and tear on the piston. Some people might move the piston up and down multiple times with water, but with all mechanical things, they don't have an infinite life. So the more you use them, the more you might be getting them to their limits. Yeah, I try to avoid that. As an engineer, I try to also understand the use and limitations of all of my tools. Yes, I do like my Pen BBS Hawaii pens, and that's the pen maker that I'm familiar with using this resin. Where is the resin sourced from? Good question. One that I don't have an answer for, but I enjoy the finished product, which is the pen, and that to me is what's important. Here's a 308. Here's a 495, which I did a recent review on. We'll put a link in the description. And obviously the Asvine P20. And I think what's interesting, as I talked about in my other reviews of Hawaii pens, is how the resin colors are followed through with the section. So that's nice. I saw a comment in one of the social media platforms that somebody was upset because they got, I think, a Niango pen and didn't like the fact that the cap coloring didn't match the barrel. All of these acrylics are going to have variations in them. You know, some people just shouldn't buy fountain pens if they're not willing to accept the fact that they're not all going to be perfect and look exactly the way they want them to look. I do have 3 P20s. One is amber, which is in another location. So we'll just show you the new one with my first P20, which I really still love. Constantly inked up. You can see how that ink window is very visible there. And if you flip it up, it shows you I got about half fill. The pen writes very well. I use it fairly regularly. And the quality of these pens is consistent, at least from the models that I have. I just enjoy it. Classic design. Always a place for a pen like this, in my opinion. So this is what I do to the P20. I unscrew the nib assembly because I want to flush this with soapy water and then rinse it with clear water. I have a number of different bulb syringes that I use. This one is the one I use the most because that opening pretty much fits well on this number 6 assembly. And if it's a smaller nib, then I'll put it on the section if that can unscrew, which it doesn't in this model. Asvine has always made nice looking nibs, and their tipping has always been good, and that's been my experience. And it's nice to see a double O-ring there, one up here to keep the ink where it should be in the barrel, and one down here to when you fill, you don't get ink between this nib assembly and the section. Some people have commented about it, they try to take their pens apart and end up breaking them. So I don't do this to encourage you to take your pens apart. I do this because I enjoy doing it, and I've been doing this for many, many years, and you get a feel in your fingers as to how much pressure to use. I use rubber grippers, I use various tools, so I'm comfortable doing this. So to me, don't take a pen apart unless you're comfortable or know exactly what you need to do to take it apart. So I think we need to bring in the LED to take a look at this resin under a different light. It's a little dark, it's daylight, but I have blackout blinds, but it still lets some light in. I just think this is a great combination of colors. It appeals to me. And as we've known before from other pens, it is somewhat translucent, lets the light through. But here you have an ink window, so that's not as important as it might be. Let's look in the cap and see. Yeah, that usual machined legend there to seal up the section. Classic design piston fill pen, sold at a very reasonable price and comes in a lot of different colors. So those of you that know me know I'm fine putting a brand new ink into a brand new pen. I saw that Matt had put out some new inks at the wet pen, and this one was one of the 4 that I got. 3 I ordered, and 1 is his still working on ink. We may look at them all eventually, but I think his packaging is really beautiful. And when you get the package, this is sealed, so it hasn't been opened. But it's an interesting color. Doesn't do much on the paper towel, but we'll see how it works in the pen, which is the important part. So here's my collection of wet pen inks. These are the 3 I got originally, and these are the 3 I ordered with his new batch, and he threw in a throwback blue. And here is the P20 writing on this Tomoe River paper. The pen just feels excellent. The nib just glides. But you write on different paper, you're going to get a different experience. Here's my working group of the inks from the wet pen. And these were all written with the same glass nib pen, so they're consistent in regards to how the nib is going to work on the paper. It's an interesting choice of colors that he's done here. They're all very saturated, they all flow very well. They're good inks. So I have a fine nib in the Hawaii, and I have a medium nib in the green pen. And as you can see, the tipping material is more on the medium nib. But what's amazing when you write with them, how much of a difference the ink will make. So if you were to just look at these 2 writing, you would assume that the medium nib is thicker, but not a lot. You can get a really broad, medium broad wet line out of the fine. And I think a lot of it has to do with the wet pen ink, which is a very wet ink, flows very, very well. And this is a Trommel glitter ink, and that generally has a little bit less flow. But as you can see from the smear, it's not that much less, but this is definitely a drier ink than the wet pen ink. Just wanted to show you how that glitter does work. And this pen has been inked up, refilled a couple times, and I find it to be a consistent writer. I know a lot of people are concerned when they have glitter inks clogging their pens, and occasionally that'll happen. Just clean it out. So I reached the conclusion of this video, and if you'd like more details, I suggest you see some of the earlier videos that I did. But I really enjoy this model from Asvine. Asvine makes it many good models, but I think that this one is great because number one, it's classic. Number two, it works well. Their nibs have been consistently good, so that's always a nice thing. So if you like a pen like this, give it a try. It's available on Amazon and on Etsy. Check it out. So with that, we're going to do our final wrap-up. So I want to thank all of you for watching. Hopefully, this video finds everyone safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens, your inks, your papers, making that pen create some literary magic, visual magic. There's a lot of options. So with that, we're going to say this is the end, and we will say bye. We have another pen in the mix because of a viewer. Interesting to see how that works.